Few camera manufacturers have done as much as Sony has to establish the mirrorless camera as a serious alternative to the digital SLR over the past decade. Once considered a niche compact tool for amateurs, Sony's mirrorless lineup is now geared towards professionals and enthusiasts alike. Following on from the massively popular A6000, the A6300 props up the budget end of the company's lineup with an APS-C sensor, 4K video capabilities, and more features than most hobbyists will ever need. If you've never taken sub $1,000 mirrorless cameras seriously before, the A6300 might just change your mind. Probably the most notable thing about the A6300 is its size. Despite having the same size sensor as most entry and mid-level digital SLRs, the camera's body is comparable to many compact cameras and weighs just over 400 grams. Of course, depending on the lens you have mounted on the front, things will get bulkier and heavier. The magnesium alloy body is weather sealed for dust and moisture resistance, and it feels solid in the hand, which is a marked improvement over its polycarbonate predecessor. The camera features an inbuilt pop-up flash which sits perfectly flush with the body until you press a button, as well as a hot shoe mount for external speedlights, microphones, and other accessories. Being a mirrorless camera, there's no true optical viewfinder that provides a look through the lens like there is on a digital SLR. Instead, the A6300 features a surprisingly capable electronic viewfinder which provides a virtually lag-free view of what the camera is seeing. It'll drain the battery quicker, but the bright 120Hz OLED screen makes it possible to track fast-moving targets even in bright light. There's no touchscreen and only one adjustable dial on the A6300. Fortunately, you can customize the jog wheel on the back to also adjust exposure value and use it to adjust shutter speed in manual mode. There are two custom buttons which can be redefined and a customizable function menu which puts your often used features within a few clicks. Unfortunately, the record button is awkwardly positioned at the edge of the upper right corner, which makes it hard to press without loosening your grip on the camera. There also may not be enough dedicated controls for still shooters who have gotten used to plentiful customizable buttons on digital SLRs, but there are two custom modes to choose from on the mode dial. A lack of buttons means you'll need to spend some time setting up the A6300 to suit your shooting style and spend some time in Sony's notoriously complex menu system. If you buy the kit bundle, you'll also get a 16 to 50mm power zoom and the world's most uncomfortable neck strap. While the A6000 launched at $800 with a kit lens, you can add an extra $250 onto that price for this model. Image quality and autofocus performance are two areas where mirrorless systems have traditionally been unable to keep up with their digital SLR counterparts. Those days are over. The A6300 features Sony's latest in autofocus advancements, providing 425 points of phase detect autofocus, which makes it possible to track and maintain focus on even moving targets both in still and video mode. Sony hasn't wasted any time in telling everyone that it's the fastest autofocus system in the world, and it's better than what you'll find on Sony's top-level A7 cameras that feature full-frame sensors. The feature vastly reduces what's been termed focus hunting while in video mode, and provides impressive continuous autofocus performance. You can also drop into assisted manual mode, which provides 100% zoom of what you're looking at in the viewfinder so you can focus on your subject perfectly. Image quality is similarly impressive, with a 24.2 megapixel sensor that creates RAW files of 25 megabytes in size. Excellent low light performance means you can shoot in low light with minimal grain, all the way up to ISO 51200. You'll probably want to keep it around the ISO 6400 mark to keep the grain down, but the camera lets you limit the setting in the aforementioned menu system. The camera features 11 frames per second continuous drive, but the buffer will top out before most of its SLR counterparts, around 20 shots for RAW and 40 for JPEG. It's also not quite instant on like most SLRs, requiring slightly over a second to start up. For this reason, the A6300 certainly has more of a digital feel than its optical counterparts, something that's reflected in the battery life. The A6300 comes with a 1020 mAh battery that's good for 400 shots, or 350 if you're using the electronic viewfinder. This is disappointing if you're used to getting a few thousand shots out of a DSLR, and Sony doesn't provide a battery charger in the box, so you have to recharge any spare batteries you have in the camera. Fortunately, you can get higher capacity third-party batteries that will last longer, and USB charging also allows you to charge the camera using a portable battery just like you'd use for a smartphone. The A6300 is a noticeably smaller camera when compared to most digital SLRs. That's arguably one of the main draws, and Sony's E-mount lenses, which are designed for APS-C cameras, help keep things portable. This is perfect for certain styles of photography, notably street and travel. The camera also features a silent shutter, which is perfect for keeping a low profile. While shooting with the A6300, I found it easy to get close and be more daring with my photography, particularly due to the compact size of the camera and ability to shoot from the hip using the TFT screen. I felt more inclined to chuck the camera in my bag and take it out with me purely because it's so much lighter than either of my admittedly old digital SLRs. Performance is high from such a portable package. There's virtually no shutter lag, and you'll get the same satisfying click when you squeeze the shutter that you're used to from an SLR. I found myself shooting programmed auto a lot, with shutter priority to add some movement to my shots and aperture priority when I wanted tighter control over the depth of field. I soon learned to trust the camera both in terms of its impressive autofocus performance, ability to meter for light, white balance, and choose ISO. That's mostly thanks to the massive dynamic range contained within the camera's RAW files. Sony still uses a compressed RAW algorithm, but the quality is exceptional. I shot a few sessions on JPEG, and quality is good enough if that's what you're into, but RAW shooters can claw back an immense amount of detail from shadows and highlights in post. Video performance is also impressive. There's not a lot to write home about in terms of HD video due to the already impressive array of HD shooters on the market, but 4K performance is exciting to say the least. The Super 35 sensor produces gloriously detailed images in a tiny package. There are several bit rates and frame rates to choose from, and you can also use the new XAVC-S codec, which provides improved detail and movement capture compared to AVC HD. Picture profiles like S-Log2 and S-Log3 will help you get as much out of your video footage as possible, ideal if you're into grading your footage in post. Unfortunately, there are reports of 4K video recording causing the camera to overheat, a problem I wasn't able to reproduce but certainly noticed the camera getting warm. Things might have been different if it wasn't winter here in Australia. The 16 to 50mm kit lens is a bargain for the $150 you effectively pay versus buying the camera body on its own. The lens retails for $350 and provides a good range of focal lengths in its power zoom body. There's one adjustment ring which you can use to control both focus and zoom depending on what buttons you're pressing on the camera, as well as a focal length adjustment slider for zooming in and out. At its widest, there's a notable vignette around the edge of the frame when shooting stills, but this isn't hard to fix if you're using something like Adobe Camera Raw. You'll also find the lens to be a little soft in terms of details around the edge of the frame at its widest points, but things get much crisper when zoomed all the way in. This is often the case with zooms and kit lenses. You'll get sharper results from less versatile prime lenses every time. Which begs the question, should you switch to Sony? Lens availability will be a big deciding factor, as will price. You don't need to spend megabucks on a Zeiss lens for good results, but you'll find many compatible E-mount and FE mount lenses that cost more than the camera itself. Cheaper glass is on the way from manufacturers like Sigma, but if you've already invested in a decent set of Nikon or Canon lenses, you might be hesitant. That's something you're going to have to work out for yourself, but be aware that the E-mount lineup currently tops out at about 210mm, which will be a problem for serious sports, action, or wildlife photographers. For everyone else looking for big results in a small package, the Sony and its E-mount lineup looks promising provided you've got deep pockets. To read our full review and be in with a chance of winning the Sony a6300, head to makeuseof.com.